Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you how I get my glowy everyday skin look foundation routine. I don't really know what I'm going to be calling this yet, but in every single one of my videos I am always cutting out the parts with my foundation and contour and all that kind of stuff because I think that it's going to bore people. If it doesn't bore you, you're in the right place because I'm going to be talking about it. So today I'm going to be showing you my primers, my concealers, my foundation, my setting powders and all of that good stuff. This is the routine that I use every single day, and I think on camera especially it looks really glowy and beautiful and natural. In person it doesn't look cakey or heavy. I can see a little bit of product like sitting on my skin, but for the most part that's just what foundation does. So this is the most natural full coverage, glowy natural full coverage foundation that I do. I don't do any fuller coverage than this. I don't particularly need it, so keep that in mind. I don't have too many blemishes, thankfully, now at this stage of my life, now that I am over the hormones of pregnancy. But I'm going to jump into this tutorial, so I hope that you enjoy it. Let's go! In my step 1 primer, this one is the hydrating one, and I take maybe about this much, and you can see already it's running down my fingers. I do this on the outside perimeters of my face, but I also do bring it into where I did that smoothing primer. They work really well together. It's not going to affect each other negatively. They work really well together. So I just put that all over my face. This is going to hydrate my skin again. And for my foundation, what I've been using lately in all of my tutorials is my Giorgio Armani Luminous Skin Foundation. This sucker is nearly out. I'm in number 4, and I take 3 pumps, and it's like I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel, and I do big swipes on my face, and then I like to move it around my face a little bit. I find that this ensures that my beauty blender doesn't suck up too much of the foundation because I'm not leaving big blobs for it to suck up before it moves it around. I also find that I get a more even application. I look crazy right now, but I feel like I get a more even application because I'm not using the beauty blender to move around spots of foundation. I'm more using it to blend in already spread foundation. So this beauty blender is damp, and what I do with my beauty blenders is I wash them every time I go to wet them. So this beauty blender is freshly washed with baby shampoo just because that's what I had laying around. I also really like the Daiso brush cleaner for my beauty blenders. There's also the Beauty Blender solid cleanser that I really like, and I really use any of those on my beauty blender. I have used like dishwashing liquid before, but I would say just to be careful because the beauty blender is so delicate it can tear or break down if you're using a cleanser that's a little bit too harsh for it. Now for underneath my eyes, I take a mixture of my Urban Decay Naked Skin and my MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. I like these both for different reasons. I like the Urban Decay Naked Concealer because I think the colour is really flattering on my skin tone. I also think that it has really good amount of coverage, but I like the Pro Longwear to kind of offset the negatives from this concealer. Like I do find it a little bit drying, and therefore it can look a little bit crepey underneath my eyes. So I take as small of a pump as I can of my Pro Longwear. I mix it in with that. It's also a slightly darker colour, and it has more of the peach tones to help cancel out the dark circles underneath my eyes, but I do take it all over the face because I just can't be bothered. I also leave a little bit of space, and I've just started doing this, but I leave a little bit of space directly underneath my eye because I blend my concealer upwards. That makes sure that right underneath my eyes where all of those fine lines are, that's not going to get overwhelmed with product and crease more easily. So I would highly suggest that. I do take the inner corner up a little bit because that doesn't really have any fine lines, and I need a lot of coverage right where that dark circle is. So I kind of start patting with the tip of the beauty blender underneath my eye, and I am moving it upwards, as you can see there. I want to make sure that I am doing more of a triangle shape. This will help to lift your face. So I do take it up and out, and I like to raise it quite far out because I do like dramatic makeup as well. Making sure to get right underneath that eye and to make sure that that's well blended. One problem with this naked concealer that I've noticed is that I often get it pulling off on certain places on my cheek, and it's quite hard for me to get it to look even. As you can see, compared to that eye, it really brightens, but you can still see a little bit of that darkness. So usually I take my Pro Longwear, and that helps with a little bit of the lifting as well, but I do have to add it on afterwards instead of mixing it in with the foundation. And I just took a really tiny amount, and you don't want to overblend that part because that's where I tend to get my foundation not sitting properly. I also make sure to go up onto this part here. I feel like that part is often missed when people do their makeup and when I do my makeup, because when you're looking straight on, it's kind of a blind spot. You can't really see the darkness that you can see when you turn your head, and it's right there, but a lot of people have darkness there. So I really make sure to conceal that. When I'm doing my eyeshadow primer though, because I'm using my MAC Soft Ochre paint pot, which is yellow based, I do make sure to take it right up to there. I also drag, so you know how I was saying that I bring it down in a triangle? This part I drag right along downside my nostril, and I make sure to really get underneath my nostrils because I get a lot of redness there. Then I'm going to be using a setting powder. So my favourite setting powder is the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, but I also do really like the RCMA powder. So today I'm going to be using my Laura Mercier powder just because it's what I've been using most recently. And I tap off a whole bunch into the cap, and I literally take that damp blender, usually on the side of it, not the bottom, and I press it in like that, starting underneath my eyes, and I work that powder in. I don't bake. I find that baking makes my under eyes crease, and not crease but like crepe up. It's too heavy underneath my eyes. But I do take quite a bit of powder and really press it in with that damp sponge. It doesn't start to look gloopy, you know, when you like wet flour and it starts to look really gloopy. It doesn't do that. I was always worried that it was going to make my under eyes look gloopy, but it doesn't. I literally use this technique to go all over my face. I don't use a big brush to powder the rest of my face, but I do want to make sure that the rest of my face is powdered so that when I put my contour and highlight on, it doesn't stick to any any wet foundation. Alright, so now that my whole face is set, I am going to be taking my Shade and Light palette. This is by Kat Von D, and as you can see, it is well loved. So I am going to be taking that yellow shade, and I like to just mix them for no particular reason, and I do take that underneath my eyes just to make sure, because underneath my eyes was where I took the most setting powder. So this helps to further brighten the area and also wipe away any excess setting powder that I have. Then I just brush over the rest of my face to make sure that it's all pretty dry. And if there's anywhere in particular that I can feel that isn't quite dry, I literally just take this shade, and I'm able to do that because it's my skin tone and it doesn't look any different. But this is just what I do. Next on a little, this is my favourite brush. This is a highlight brush, I'm pretty sure. A highlight brush from Zoeva. And I'm going to be taking this cool tone shade mixed with this medium shade. So I kind of go back and forth between these two and start to contour my face. I start right back at my ear, and I imagine a line kind of up to my mouth, but I really don't take it past the middle of my iris. And what I do is I make sure that the base of the brush, those bottom bristles, sit right where I want the bottom of the contour to be, and I'm not, you know, moving lots with the bottom of my contour. So I do that, and then I make sure to blend upwards. You don't want to drag it down, and it won't look as, number one, natural, but also as slimming. What I also do sometimes is I will drag my contour down a little bit. This is what faces naturally do, but I do that more for really intense makeup looks, or if I want a really sculpted face. So as you can see, that's really blended. I still have that line underneath, but this is all blended up into my cheek area, not going too far around here. And if I'm looking straight into the camera, you can see this side has a lot more definition than this side. Now with that same brush, I also take it onto my hairline. If you can imagine my face, I take it from these 2 points down to nearly my brow. That's where most of the pigmentation will be, but I do also blend it around the hairline in the middle of the forehead and making sure to hit those temples there because those naturally recede. So I also put a little bit of contour in the temples here. And I feel like that's another place where often my foundation doesn't sit, like I can still see the veins through that area, so I do like to contour that. Make sure you go right back to the ear. You want to make sure that you're not missing any sections of skin, and it can be quite weird because you are going to be kind of going into your hairline, but you do want to make sure that that looks as seamless as possible. So now you can see how much more definition I have on my face. I also take those two same contour shades. This is just like a fluffy like 217 from MAC, and I contour my nose really lightly. Like there is kind of no real technique to this apart from that I contour both sides and I try to make it look as straight as possible, leaving the tip or the highest point of my nose light so that it makes my nose look a little bit slimmer because I have this big Polynesian nose from my mother's side. And to make that look the most flattering, I also do kind of bring that up and just fluff it into the brows a little bit, because naturally when you look at the darkness of your nose, it does go up and kind of here is usually quite dark and it kind of has this curve to it that goes into your brow bone. So I like to just, you know, make my face look as perfected but as natural as possible. You know, I kind of want to focus on those natural recesses that the face already has, or alternatively flip them on the head. Now if I think that underneath that contour looks messy at all, I can take a little bit of this shade, and usually I mix it in with the shade, and I can, as you can see, that's made a huge difference from just cleaning up the line, but it still looks really natural. So I'm not 100% certain where that cut off, but I hope that you guys got all of that information. The last thing that I did was just set my entire face with my Hourglass Ambient Lighting palette. I literally take a big dab from every single shade in there and I just brush it all over my face, making sure to make the concentrated amount underneath my eyes and in the center of my face, but I definitely touch every single part of my face, and I'd cover my whole body in this stuff. I feel like it's so finely milled and it looks so natural on the skin, and when I'm filming after I've used this, I'm like, damn, my skin looks so natural. Like I don't feel like you can see, but I'm wearing a whole ton of makeup. Obviously you can't see any redness, like my skin looks perfected, but it still looks healthy and natural, and that's that product. That is totally a star product for me. So that is everything with my face. I hope that that was somewhat helpful. If any tutorials you see that I haven't mentioned my face routine, 9 times out of 10 it's because this is the exact routine that I'm using, and I will always put the link underneath the videos for this video that it's pertinent to. That is pretty much it, so I will see you guys later. Bye!